the pathway, then the conclusion, and also the node itself, then the server structure. Now we are taking everything to the next level, which is the Express framework. So the Express framework now is basically what I've explained, but I would like it to be kind of a little bit interactive. So I don't know, concerning the Express itself, you get the whole logic behind it.
Yes, so for Express.js, I know it's an extension of Node.js that give it more capability, to do things. So that's my understanding. Like
Yes, it's
it's a framework that's
yeah,
still right on Node.js, yes.
exactly. So it's a framework different, but it's dependent on Node.js. So it can't basically stand on its own without the Node.js running. So,
Yeah.
but even before we proceed,
So is it like a
we
plugin?
have
It's like a
no, it's not a
Node.js
plugin.
plugin. Would I be right if
It's
I
not
say
a
that?
Node.js. No.
Okay.
You be that's kind of not acceptable. So
Okay.
it's a framework, totally a framework, but it's still independent. Like it depends on Node.js runtime. So it uses Node.js runtime execution to perform every task that it runs. So if you should remove Node.js from your system, it's 100% sure that you cannot run Express
Okay.
because it uses Node.js. So it's just like the way we have React, and some other frameworks and libraries, which they also depend on the JavaScript runtime, which is the Node.js input output runtime that you have in your system. So I hope you understand that. So, but some sort of core aspects are used in what's it called in the application itself. You can run React on your system, no problem. So, but before you can run Express, we utilize a lot of Node.js modules. So it's quite not possible for you to run some modules there without having it in place. Even after changes as regard to versions, then the versions you use. So there are some applications that they won't even run if you run them on 14, on 16. And that was the main reason why I said make sure you have 16 LTS installed. You understand? So it's it's like very compatible with most of the packages that we have, and it runs successfully without issues on almost all the application browsers and everything. So that's just it concerning that. I don't know if there is more any form of clarifications that you want me to make concerning that part before we proceed.
No, let's proceed.
All right, perfect. So after this, we have some components, let me call them components, what we are familiar with, some building blocks that we use to bring this Express, stage it as a server on its own and bring it to life. So these are just conventional processes which Express framework itself laid down so as to be able to, have a clear view of how your application works. So, and that's where we bring in the middlewares, the router, and then the controllers and everything. You understand? So, having it at the back of your mind that every application that we run will have a starter file. Our starter file in this case is the index. It could be anything. So I need you to just kind of relate what you watched this morning alongside what I'm trying to say. So the starter file is what initializes the application itself. So, and that's the index that we have there. So it could be anything, like it could be your server itself, like anything you can think about. That is what you have as your server there running. So it depends on what it is that you want to use. to run your server. So I don't know. I hope you can still hear me clearly.
Yes, I can hear you clearly.
Okay, all right. So after getting these right, so we can then proceed. You understood the parts where we try to stage HTTP server itself using Node peer ground, or let me say peer codes. You understand? So before bringing Express, right?
No.
Okay, like the first time we introduced this, we were able to use the HTTP create server.
Okay. Yeah, sure, yes.
Yes, that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So we're able to use it to set up a Node.js server before we bring in Express to give us more kind of to help us interact better and have a better experience using Node. You understand that part? So you understood that part, rather.
Yeah,
so yeah. So moving on, I think that's just that concern that part. So moving on, we have what we explain to be the middleware stuff. So I'll just make it a little bit of theoretical parts, then the code exercise. So the function structure, the middleware execution, and the application level. When you were going through that video, you would notice that when we started the Express, when we saw the Express and we started the Express before we do the app.listen, there is a use keyword. The use is a core keyword to Express. So it's like a module. It is a module. It is a module structure in Express. So we try to use it. What we basically use it to do is to allow it to be available for our application. So whenever we say something is application level, definitely it is part of what comes into the application, what attends to you before you can access any of the APIs that you have in the application. So it's just like, let's say we have multiple security level in CBN. You understand? That means before you can even get to CBN, we have a lot of security levels there. So that means you have to hit those security checks before you get to the bank. So it's still the same thing as the Express. Once you use something, you are trying to say the system has to pass through this. So all these application levels stuff that we are talking about in terms of middleware, they could be third party, they could be user defined, they could be error handlers, they could be router level, and they could be function structured level. You understand? So when I get to that part, I'll show you clearly what I'm trying to say. But I just want you to be able to picture out what I'm trying to say. I don't know if that's making sense little by little. Is it?
It is.
Oh, okay. So now we move ahead to the controller. So the controller, I don't think we really covered the controller there, but the controller is just like saying it's just a minimal way to kind of have a single name for it, like a compound name. Okay, for instance, now let's say Lagos State. You now say after Lagos State, what's next is LGA. From LGA or LCDA, you can now have little what's it called, breakdown, maybe places. You can say places. So we can have multiple, even at some point in time, in some places we can have towns, like maybe towns that are not as the population is not as much as maybe 2,000 or something, and maybe 5 of them under a single LGA. So that's still the same thing we are saying here. The application level is Lagos State. So the LCDA or LGA is the router, is like, let me say, is the controller. So from each controller now, we have about 3 towns there. So that town is your router. From the town, which is your router, to streets, junctions, and the likes. That's just it, as clear as that. So if you want to give description of how you get to your house, now you say when you get to Lagos State, LGA, so LGA, you can ask of so LGA, then you can ask of so town if the person does not know where Lagos is before. So in so town, when you're in so town, tell the Uber rider or something that you're going to so junction or street. So same thing here. When you want to call your API has a base URL. So from the domain, you have a base URL. We can call your base URL your controller. From your controller, we have your router. From that router is where you have the full naming that points to the middlewares that want to act based on that router. That's just it. Nothing more, nothing more. So, but before you get to Lagos State, you would see maybe let's say you get to maybe let's say Long Bridge. For instance, if you are passing Ibadan or something, you have to pass through Long Bridge. Your Long Bridge is app.use, maybe third-party stuffs, and that's where calls comes in. So what calls does at the Long Bridge is, okay, we don't want yellow cars or something to come in, because, or we don't want blue cars to come in, or bus or something to come in, because they do not comply with the cross origin restriction policy. I don't know if that is making sense. So what I'm trying to say now is yellow is Lagos State's logo. Yellow is our domain. So since yellow is our domain now, any body that comes in with yellow, we allow that person to come in. If not, course is going to deny that person of entry. So you won't be able to access anything in Lagos if you don't have that kind of car. I don't know if it's making sense. Is it? Like, is it making sense? Yeah. So that's just the way it works. So then after that, we can talk about the routes, and that's all. So now let's just let me stop sharing so that I can share the code base that we have. Okay. Oh, start up there. Good evening. So okay. I'm trying to come up with these projects.
Good evening, Mr. Yusuf.
Yes, good evening. So,
yeah, sorry for joining me late.
Oh, no problem. How's your weekend going? And
Nice.
I hope it's fine. Yeah.
Yes.
So, okay, that's perfect. So now, if you can see the code base, so I didn't even touch anything there. I was meant to push this to you guys, but we have something pretty much small, not really large like that there currently. So that's why. So for instance, now the way we have this here, course, I hope you can see my screen clearly, or should I increase the font size?
I can see it. Oh, if you can increase it better.
All right. How about this? Is it better?
Yes, better, yes.
All right, fine. No problem. So now we have the installation. So the installation, all you just have to do is, if you don't want to go through the stress of doing the installation manually, we can, once I push this code, just do the npm install. So, but basically, this is the express version that we are using. Then the node one we are using is just to automatically restart our server. So sorry, one other server instance that you can set up is, I think, sorry to deviate, but I actually need to point out this because it's always used in production, but at the same time, I would love to kind of reference this. So there is a particular server that we call PM2. I don't know if you've ever heard of that particular package before. You can install it as a global dependency global package in your application, in your project. So let's say I want to do the minimal installation, which is in